Welcome to On-Site Insights, a series of podcasts by On-Site Ventures about deep tech and the people behind it. We invest in the next groundbreaking idea.
Welcome everybody to On-Site Insights. On-Site Insights is a series of LinkedIn audio events with the goal to bring our portfolio companies and the people behind these companies into the spotlight and give them a platform to present themselves. For this episode, we have Stephan Kühr with us today. Stephan is the Chief Commercial Officer of Xolo, a Berlin-based startup founded in 2019, which is building the future of 3D printing. Thank you for being with us today, Stephan.
Yes, thank you very much for the invite.
Stephan, you are a business professional with over 15 years of experience in B2B sales and also have an entrepreneurial background. You've joined Xolo as CCO in November last year. Could start by sharing with our listeners a bit about your personal and professional background before joining Xolo.
Yes, happy to do so. So, my name is Stephan. I'm a German and an American, and I have worked and lived ever since in Germany. I started my first business when I was 15 years old. Back then, the internet was the new thing. Every company, small and big, wanted to go online. I did very simple websites with a couple of friends. That was my first venture into entrepreneurship and into the internet. I later studied physics. Then I joined a corporate, but after a couple of years in this big company, I realized that my true heart beats on the entrepreneurial side of things. So I started a 3D printing company. The reason was that I was absolutely fascinated with the technology back then. I was super intrigued by the versatility of 3D printers, by how well and how easy and how fast and with how you could manufacture things and really how it takes a lot of constraints away. Now that was around 13, 14 years ago. The 3D printing world has changed a lot. I've stayed in there for the time being, and I've seen a lot of hypes and but also real applications come and go, and it's been incredibly interesting. My company that I started was a software company. It's called 3Mind, and what we did was digitalizing 3D printing workflows from identifying parts all the way to production. Then I later joined Sigma Additive. We sold that company. That was 2 years ago. And then afterwards, I met Dirk and the founding team of Xolo, and I joined these guys as Chief Commercial Officer. This is where I am today.
Thank you for this recap. So you really are an entrepreneur since quite some time now. What motivates you to lead startups and spearhead the commercialization efforts rather than pursuing a high-level role in an established organization?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I cannot deny that I sometimes ask myself that same question: how would my life be if I had never left the corporate world? But I think it is the joy for work. So waking up every morning knowing that what you do is fun, and I think even more importantly, that you can really choose who you work with and that you can choose what you do, is probably what really fascinates me about entrepreneurship. The fact that you can change what the company is doing, the fact that you can try out new things, that you don't have to ask a lot of people or do a whole lot of administrative work to really change significant levers and really direct the company into another route. This is the fascination of entrepreneurship, and that's what keeps me motivated. And what in my mind is the fun. So I really have always enjoyed what I do when I was an entrepreneur. Every day it's fun to go to the office, to meet people, to work, and the corporate world has its ups and downs. Definitely, it's for sure more comfortable and probably also a little bit more family friendly. But to me at least, it wasn't as much fun and encouraging as entrepreneurship.
Thank you for sharing these insights and your motivational factors. And now shifting gears a little bit to Xolo. You've joined recently, but maybe you can share with our listeners the founding story of Xolo and how you met the founding team.
So I've been with Xolo for around a year now. I have met Dirk and some of the team earlier on. So first of all, the 3D printing world is small. So I'm in Berlin. I live here. Xolo is in Berlin. So you join paths, you cross paths. That's happening. But I was extremely intrigued when I first got to know Xolo, because rather than other 3D printing technologies, which do a thing better or faster or something like different, Xolo really was reinventing 3D printing. So that first spark that I got when I saw the first 3D printer in my life, I felt like, wow, this is a game changer. And when I saw Xolo and what it does, I had the same feeling 13 years later, after seeing a lot in the industry. And that's for the fact that with Xolo and with its volumetric printing technology, you can really do very, very different things that other manufacturing technologies are not capable of doing. And it's not just an evaluation. It's not just making something better or faster. It's really a big changer. Now, I also have to say, Xolo is still at the beginning, right? The company is rather young, and other 3D printing technologies have matured much more. But those industries and those applications that we see in Xolo are extremely interesting. And that's when I was looking after selling Sigma Additive, and I was looking for a new position. And then I crossed paths with Dirk again. I was very intrigued to start as CCO. The company was in research mode until then, and my job now is to really do the commercialization and bring it to industries, but also push it out internationally. So kind of replicate what I've done before with 3Mind.
And that also fits to our next question. You already told us now a little bit about Xolo, but maybe you can explain to our listeners what it is that Xolo really does and what's unique about your product.
Yes, absolutely. So 3D printing or additive manufacturing is called like this because it's adding. So instead of having a block and taking away from it, like milling, another manufacturing technology, additive is building on top of each other, and usually that's done layer on layer. But if you think about it, if you put layers of material on top, you have certain constraints. In many ways, it's fine, but think about a lens. A lens must have a perfect, clear body, an optical lens, and if you have layers that are glued on top of each other, you do not get that. Also, if you think about it and you put layer on layer, then you have not perfect surfaces, because every layer has a certain thickness, and that generates what we call a staircase effect. Now, xolography is very different, because instead of doing things layer by layer, it does it in one smooth go. So it's adding material without layers in a constant way. And therefore, we get perfect inside material properties, and we get perfectly smooth surfaces. And this is especially interesting in optics, where you want to have very clear and smooth surfaces and clear bodies of objects. But it's also very interesting, for example, in biotech, if you print cells, if you print hydrogels, so things that are very fragile, which is very difficult with other manufacturing technologies. So it's a little bit hard to explain. It's especially hard to explain if you're audio only, but the fact that we print volumetrically, so in a constant motion rather than layer on layer, gives us a lot of benefits, which opens up new areas of applications which are hidden to other manufacturing technologies.
And how did Xolo manage the transformation from technology and research to a market-ready product?
So it definitely took quite a while. We do have 2 professors in our founding team. It's Dirk, the CEO, and then 2 professors, Stephan and Martin, who have developed the companies, and they understood early on that it's too much for one company to do everything themselves. So they reached out to academia, to researchers, and that basically created the first customer base. And they worked on certain things. So they took the printer, they took the photo initiators, the materials, and they brought them to the next level. So in it happens still today in many cases that we see a paper being submitted, or we talk to our customers and they show us or tell us something that we had absolutely no idea that our machines are capable of doing. So it's really nice to put a machine that is somewhat working into the hands of smart and creative people, and then see what they get out of it. And then obviously we had that feedback loop that led to the newer machines, and we just yesterday launched our new machine, so the 2nd generation, which changed a lot of mistakes that we did in the first machine. It made it more robust. It also added features that are needed. So we took a lot of that customer feedback, and now we really have a commercial machine that is robust and industry ready. And I think this was a smart approach. First, going to academia, who are definitely not the easiest customer base, because they are never happy with the state of the art. They always want to try out new things. But in our case, that's exactly what was needed, and what helped us to get it to a good stage now. Yeah.
Yes, congratulations on your launch. That's really exciting. And besides academia, you have different kind of niche markets you serve. Could you explain a little bit more about how you identify the niche markets for such a product, and what makes these niches also so attractive for Xolo?
So basically, we are looking into areas where people can do new things that other manufacturing technologies don't allow. So if, let's say, we sat together and we thought about which USPs do we have and what allows that otherwise it's not possible. So, for example, we print without support structure. So removing support structure, in some cases it's annoying, but if it's annoying but possible, then we say stay with it, right? Use your current technology. If that works and it's just a little bit better, then this is probably not the right technology for you. But if we look into areas where it's really not possible, for example, printing a certain cell type, or printing an optical element, or printing with material properties which you cannot achieve by printing layer on layer, because simply the non-isotropicness of the material would not allow for the required material properties, then we say this is interesting. So I've named already a couple of fields where we believe we are good, and that's kind of where we want to go into. Or think about the speed. Like, it's nice if you print faster. We print, one print job is just like 3 to 5 minutes, which is super nice. However, if you have a printer in your room and you wait an hour and you can to get your prototype, keep doing that. No need to change it. But if you think about, let's say you go into a shop and you want to buy a customized earpiece, a hearing aid, let's say, the person in the shop wouldn't wait an hour, but they would wait 10 minutes, right? So this is a new application that makes it possible. Think about chairside applications in dental, in audiology, maybe in optics, even printing glasses on site. These are all areas where we believe with the current technologies you cannot get the result, but with ours you can. And that's where we want to go into.
All right, and connecting on this, you are quite experienced and you worked in the 3D printing market for over 12 years. Could you share how the 3D printing industry has changed over those past 12 years, and what were the biggest milestones in that field?
Absolutely. It changed significantly. Especially, let's say, the vision changed significantly. I remember when I was starting this, and it was basically the time when it became when it became known to the public. I realized that the vision was that it goes into a B2C market, right? Everybody will have a 3D printer in their garage, in their basement, to quickly print things they need in their daily life. That was the vision 13 years ago. And there was already a B2B market. So certain applications were printed for real use, for products. The main, obviously, was prototyping, right? Getting a prototype of your new product very quickly, adjusting it very, very quickly, and then ordering the real part in a traditional method. That was the main market. But the vision was definitely there to really go into a private masses. This completely dissolved, right? Nowadays, nobody believes they will have a 3D printer in their garage. Not now, not next year, not in 10 years. But the B2B applications really changed. So nowadays, if you get into a airplane, or if you buy maybe not the small mass market cars, but if you go into a more luxury car with a lot of with not so much cars being produced, then the chances are quite high that you end up having 3D printed parts in your around you, and this hasn't been so. Definitely, the market grew slower than expected. Definitely, it took a different approach, but let's say what it did in the past, it continued to do, staying in B2B, staying in small batch production, but really moving in more and more. And what's also very interesting is that more people are now able to use it, right? So this definitely changed. The accessibility to it. More people learn how to 3D print when they study. More people understand the limitations and the advantages of printed parts. So definitely it has evolved, but in a very different way than we expected 13 years ago.
And which trends and technologies in 3D printing do you currently find most promising?
So I am extremely intrigued by optical applications, I have to say. And that's, of course, because I deal with it on a daily basis. But I think there are industries which are hundreds or even thousands of years old, and they haven't changed super much. The way glass is produced, the way glasses are produced, yes, they get better, of course, but there's no fundamental change. And now we are at a place where this can really change in probably not this or next year, but in 5 to 10 years, we will see that. I've been to the dentist yesterday, and there are more and more 3D printers in there. So I think the applications that we see around us, maybe not really knowing they're 3D printed, but we'll see them. And for me, I'm a physicist, I find especially optics a super interesting field, and that's where my heart kind of is today. And that's also the beauty then working in a startup, that you can really also path your own way, right? Let's say, I think bioprinting is amazing, and we do a lot of bioprinting, and many customers of ours do that. But for me, this is just a little bit far away, and I have a hard time sometimes to really understand the details. But my physics nerdy interests, they are really sparked by all these optical applications that I see and that we're discussing, and that hopefully we'll see the world sometime.
Sounds like exciting times that are coming to us with 3D printing, definitely. But have you also seen in your career the biggest failures in 3D printing, or like in the industry in general? And have we learned from them anything?
So I mean, the last year or two have been a disaster for the 3D printing industry in terms of venture capital, in terms of trust, in terms of company valuations. So we've seen this overhyped industry, which got so much money pumped in that at some point it became clear to most people that it will not sustain, that those promises that were made by big companies becoming unicorns overnight, the market is growing, and it's growing faster than most other markets, but not to the extent of money that was pumped in. And we've seen those companies fail, what most in the industry had expected a couple of years ago, but we've seen it this and last year happening. And that is very sad, but hopefully also an opportunity, because now things can consolidate and we can kind of put a regular stamp on things. And hopefully we learn from it. I say hopefully, because some will never. But yeah, this was sad to see, because also a lot of trust in the 3D printing industry as a whole was destroyed by a couple of really overhyped and overpriced companies failing.
I see. And transitioning to the bigger picture now, we already talked a little bit about the future of 3D printing in bioprinting. But could you talk a little bit about what role Xolo will play in the future in the 3D printing industry?
So we identified 6 areas. It's optics, bioprinting, dental, audiology, jewelry, and medtech. And in these areas, in most of them, there are players. In optics, not really so much, but in most others, there are established players. And we simply have to find the application that our USPs are really playing out the best. If you can print it with, let's say, SLA, which is a 30-year-old technology, you should, right? But there are certain applications in all these 6 fields which is simply impossible with others, and this is where we jump into. So as I said, my heart kind of lies with the optics area, but I also see very, very interesting ideas in those other fields, and Xolo will definitely find a place, probably not in all of them, and probably also not just by ourselves. So we look for, let's say, the main players in the market to really develop these applications. We're probably not going to bring out any application, or maybe only very, very few applications by ourselves. But for the most, we look for commercial partnerships where we partner with big companies that will then later have the rights to that technology and push it into the market. And us rather being the technology provider, maybe the machine provider, the material provider, but not the application provider. And this is actually super interesting. I wish there were a couple of those things that we could announce already. But this is also one of the super interesting parts of my job, to really look for the market leader in these niches and choose the 5 to 10 most promising applications that we'll develop within the next year or two together with a big partner, and then really bring something completely different into the market.
And maybe you can also elaborate on a shorter term view. What is up next for Xolo? You already talked a little bit about partnership announcements that we might hear in the near future. Anything else that's interesting for our listeners about your next steps with Xolo?
So, I mean, we just introduced our new machine yesterday, which is exactly what the whole company now focuses on. We do have a couple of prototypes out there, and the feedback is amazing. So we're super excited to see what companies do with it. But there might be a chance that we also have something up our sleeves for the end of the year. But right now it's too early to say. What is definitely happening is that in optics and in bioprinting, a lot of companies are waiting for that bigger machine because they can print bigger now. They can print with more power, and that's very helpful. And we are extremely excited to see their results. I know there's a lot of papers in the pipeline that will be pushed by the end of the year, and then shown to the public what Xolography is capable of. And that's kind of where we are today, and we're extremely excited to see our results and what we done, but also now what people use with the tools we create.
We are excited to see you too, and to see you grow and thrive in this environment as well. And for my last question now, reflecting on your entrepreneurial journey and now joining Xolo, what would you say was the most unexpected aspect of your whole journey that led you there? And if there's anything, is there anything you wish you had known earlier, or any advice that you would have for someone who wants to embark on a similar path?
So in the end, there are so many routes that you can take, and so many let's say almost gambled choices you made, especially in the early days, not always very well thought through, and a lot of luck, obviously, meeting the right person at the right time, and my philosophy has always been to try out things, to go, to talk, to be open, and really test things out with the market, with real people, with real potential customers. I've seen so many other companies which thought they had the thing, and if they talk about it, someone else will steal it and do it faster, and that is probably a fine way to go, but it's not my way. And I'm extremely happy that also the Xolo team shares that thought. So embracing openness, embracing trying out things, embracing using new technologies. This is definitely something I would recommend to everybody. So as an example, my life changed absolutely when AI was introduced, and I know many companies that don't want to do their important things on ChatGPT or on AI, because they are then feeding a system and information might leak out and whatnot. In Xolo, it's the exact opposite. We tell everything we know. We are extremely open with people. We only actually don't say things of our customers that they don't want us to say, but in terms of our knowledge, our USPs and so on, and our technology, we tell everybody everything. And we can also easily put it into AI and then use like really advanced things very efficiently. So I guess it's a question you're gonna, like every founder asks themselves very early on, or every entrepreneur. But for me, it's definitely be open, go out, talk, and that probably led to many good decisions and many. Let's say I probably often enforced good luck doing so.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Stephan, for joining us today. And everybody else who is listening, thank you for joining.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That was On-Site Insights, a series of podcasts by On-Site Ventures about deep tech and the people behind it. For more information on our portfolio companies and investment strategies, visit our website, onsite.vc, and follow us on LinkedIn at On-Site Ventures.